Would like to call our meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. I got words now.
Okay.
Brandon, and I don't know, I didn't try.
We can do that.
You have a forum, you can open your meeting.
We only have 3 members
Jim's on.
present, and Jim's on by Zoom. Jim, can you hear me?
He's muted. Brandon's not coming.
He's unmuted now.
Mr. Foster, can you hear me?
He's unmuted. I can see. Yeah.
Is this microphone on?
I'm reaching out to Eugene now.
Okay. Apologies for the delay. We would like to have 4 members present.
You do have a forum?
With 3?
Yes.
Okay.
But with anything you do pretty much has to be unanimous. You would not be able to do the variance at all.
Well, we have a quorum, so we can proceed at least over the first part.
No, we're just starting. If you can get here as soon as possible. Are you able? Okay, great, thank you. Eugene's on the way. Thought it was at 8.
So he's like pulling out at home right now.
Mm-hmm.
Took 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't, you probably don't want to hold your chair and vice chair election with 3 people.
No, I don't think that's a good idea.
I know how it's going to happen.
We could go into public hearing, could we not, the first one, and deal with it?
Yeah,
Well, why don't
continue and do the approval of the agenda.
we approve the agenda?
We approve the agenda. Approval of the minutes of December 14, 2021.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Public comments. Is there anybody that wants to give public comment tonight? In general? If not, then we get to old business. We have an interesting part that we haven't done before. We know a lot of details. But it's a public hearing, request for conditional use permit CUP 20-01, Mr. Van Oostendorp. We're going to go into public hearing. I'd like to entertain motion.
I move we go into public hearing.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The subject hearing, request for conditional use permit CUP 20-01, Van Oostendorp. Do we need to go through the whole swearing in of evidence? Is there any evidence to be presented?
I would defer to our attorney.
I would recommend that you at least read into the record the consent order that is attached I don't know that there's any evidence or swearing in. Just simply taking that into evidence.
So we have received as Board of Adjustment a order of the General Court of Justice, Superior Court Division, file number 21 CBS 1264. And that order is related to this conditional use permit. So,
Just by way of, I apologize, I'll just try to talk loud. Just by way of explanation, the ruling of the Board of Adjustment was appealed to the Superior Court acting as an appellate court. And so any order issued by the Superior Court is a direction to this body to implement whatever it says to do, which in this matter is to issue conditional use permit subject to the conditions that are attached on the document. And there's an exhibit A attached there. What I would suggest that you do is that you simply officially take into evidence attachment A in the report. Take it for what it's worth. I will say it appears to be a true and exact copy of the court order. And then I don't know if there's any other evidence that's needing to be presented.
so as you just heard, we have received a copy of this court order with Exhibit A, which has all the conditions, revised project terms and conditions, which are part of this conditional use permit. And basically, that's what's on the table, and we pretty much have to approve this conditional use permit.
But can we, just the three of us?
I believe so. There is a quorum as long as all three of you
Oh, we have to approve
approve it. And frankly, you don't have any choice. but to approve it. You're welcome to call Judge Coward. He's in Transylvania County, and he'll tell you what you need to do.
We know already what we need to do.
Apparently, we don't have a phone.
So
So
since,
the,
Mr. McKellar has suggested that you accept that into evidence, perhaps we do it by motion.
That's what I would recommend, if there be a motion to approve the CUP 20-01, subject to the terms and conditions listed in Exhibit A. That would be my recommended motion to one of you.
but we don't need to specifically read every point since it's going to be put into the record.
I don't see any reason for that since it's part of the record already.
I mean, if it needs to be, it does. I just don't want to do anything that's going to make it odd later.
I think it's clear enough that this is an order, it has all the details in it.
Okay.
So as long as we have a motion to make this part of our evidence and part of the record thereby.
I'd like to make a motion then. I move that we grant conditional use permit 20-01 as per the order from the court with the conditions listed in the file number of 21 CBS 1264. I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have a unanimous vote in favor of this conditional use permit. So I guess that's the end of our public hearing.
That's it.
Then I was up and motion to close this public hearing.
I move we close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing closed. Thank you.
We're dismissed. Thank you for your time.
I say something really quick, I just appreciate all the effort. When we're able to visit neighbor to neighbor and we're able to work things out and I think it's all fine now.
Well, I'm glad because that's really what we, as a board of adjustment, also like to see, that everybody can come together and find a solution. So,
And the neighbors had valid concerns and we're able to just listen and hear each other out. It all worked out.
excellent. Thank you. Now we wait until our fourth member arrives.
I would check with your attorney, but I would think so, if he's gonna walk in the middle of the hearing.
Strictly speaking, you could probably go ahead and speak about the special use permit, but it'd probably be more efficient to talk about both of them at the same time. What do you think?
Yeah, and I would defer. I would defer to the applicant on that, the Asheville Airport Authority. I mean, I would think you would want 4 out of 5 members
You
here.
have to have 4 people here to approve, and I assume that's what you want. so.
Yeah, I would say whatever the appropriate action is or protocol is for this board.
We should probably then wait for Mr. Evans.
We'll wait.
We could recess for 5 minutes.
Right, or you could get your, you could work out speaking from the alternate.
Is Jim, can you hear me?
Just said it was on the line too.
Jim has a hearing problem, and being on Zoom might not be the best.
Sure.
So adjourn for 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's adjourn for 10 minutes and then we'll reconvene.
And in fact, what we've just figured out is we will have 5 in a few minutes.
Okay, oh, that's great.
That's optimal,
That is the optimum
yes.
situation.
Because they approved it 3 out of 3. What time?
And I was.
All right. We would like to reconvene our meeting. And next on our agenda, by the way, just for the record, we have now a full set of 5 behind the table. Thank you for joining. Next on the agenda is new business, public hearing, minor special use permit, as SUP 22-02, Greater Asheville Regional Airport Authority. And I would like to entertain a motion to open a public hearing for this minor special use permit request.
I move we open a public hearing for this request.
Second.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Then now we are in the public hearing subject minor special use permit SUP 22-02, Greater Asheville Regional Airport Authority. We need to swear in those that are here to present evidence, and that's done by our fearless clerk.
I assume both of you gentlemen from the airport will probably speak.
Jared will primarily speak on here just in case.
Well, just in case, we're going to swear you both in.
Okay.
And Daniel, we'll do it at the same time. Not Daniel, I apologize, Mike, and we'll do it at the same time, but due to COVID restrictions, I'm just going to hold the Bible and ask you to raise your right hand. But we'll stand up to make this look more official. All right. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And then next, we would like to recognize our zoning official to present the case and make his recommendations. Mr. Molitor.
I'm just going to speak really loud. The microphone's right here, so I think they'll all be able to hear me, and you should as well. The town received a minor special use permit application from the Asheville Regional Airport Authority on January 19th and requests permission to utilize the subject property for an air traffic control tower and terminal radar control facility, which will serve the Asheville Regional Airport and associated Federal Aviation Association FAA activities in support of air traffic at the airport and air traffic in the national airspace system. The application is included as attachment A, and I submit that into the record as evidence. Before I go on, the evidentiary hearing tonight was properly noticed. Public notice letters were mailed to adjacent property owners on January 27th. Public notice sign was erected adjacent to the property at the end of Westfelt Road on January 28th, and legal advertisements ran in Hendersonville Lightning on January 26th and February 2nd. So skipping forward, I'll just summarize my staff report. The property is zoned light industrial, and in town zoning code 154.055C2, it lists the uses requiring a minor special use permit for this light industrial zoning district and states any uses not otherwise named which come within the spirit and intent of this district, subject to a finding of the Board of Adjustment, may be allowed. The only other use requiring a minor special use permit for this district is gasoline, oil, or fuel product wholesale storage. And again, the ordinance description for light industrials to provide a place for the location of industrial and other uses that would be incompatible with the general business areas. And it's intended to permit any use that is not inherently obnoxious to urban and rural areas because of noise, odor, smoke, light, vibration, dust, or the use or storage of dangerous chemicals and or materials. Summarizing what was in the application, the applicant claims the proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of persons in the area because the property is already zoned light industrial, which most closely represents the proposed use. The subject property and use are only adjacent to the Asheville Airport property in GF Linamar, a heavy industrial use consisting of foundry, casting, and machining of car parts. The proposed use will be properly secured with fencing and additional security measures as part of the airport's property. And further, to summarize what was in the application, the applicant claims the proposed use will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to nearby property or public improvements because the location is interior to the airport property, will not be visible from nearby public roads, is located near existing industrial uses and not in the vicinity of any residential property. And Westfelt, it talks about public improvements. Westfelt Road, a state maintained road, is actually going to be extended to access the site. That's the summary of my report. Again, as stated in the town zoning code, it's the board's responsibility to make the findings, whether this should be allowed as an additional use in this district. That concludes what I have. The applicants are here to speak on their behalf. And I didn't go through all the other attachments, but the light industrial zoning district description is included as attachment B, which is submitted into the record. And then the site plans, which are all included as attachment C, I'll submit into the record. Attachment D are the building elevations for the tower and the associated facility. And attachment E is a rendering of the proposed building. Attachment F is a map of the subject property with a red dot indicating the approximate location of the facility. And so I'll just formally submit all that into the record.
Thank you. So next, we would like to recognize the applicants, either to agree or to object to any of the exhibits.
I agree with the exhibits that
Part of the record, get that on the recording.
Yeah, my name is Jared Merrill. I'm the planning manager for the Greater Asheville Regional Airport Authority, and I agree with the exhibits that have been submitted.
Thank you. Next, we as a board can ask questions to our zoning official on this matter. Anybody?
I'm curious, this is the second tower of this.
It'll be a replacement. It'll replace the existing tower. So there'll only be one.
Only one tower.
Right,
Are
right.
you going to tear the first one down?
Yes, as part of the terminal project, the first one will be coming down. It's extremely outdated.
All right, next is, do we have any board members here that have personal knowledge of they may rely that is not in the record?
No,
No,
No?
no.
No, thank you. Then next is a presentation of the applicant's evidence arguments.
So, yes, with this first section, we're really just considering the use. I would venture to say there's probably not many zoning ordinances in the US that have the air traffic control towers listed as an approved use. But however, that's the reason we're here tonight. And ultimately, this building functions like an office building. It's nothing more than an office building, obviously a taller office building, but it will be occupied and operated by the Federal Aviation Administration. They're the ones that will be utilizing the building to support AVL with the air traffic. That's basically the use. It is replacing the existing tower. The existing tower was commissioned in 1961. We have confirmed it as one of probably the oldest towers in operation in the United States at this time. And as part of the terminal rehabilitation and expansion, that project is proceeding and that will have to come down. So we need to relocate this, do this tower. The site as well as the height and everything, which we'll go into further detail later,
was selected through the FAA process, which is a very extensive process that looks at the entire airfield and airport property to look at safety hazards related to airspace and related to viewing the entire runway and taxiways and associated non-movement areas. And this was the site that was optimal throughout all of their studies and safety analysis.
Very good. Thank you. If you can stay at the podium.
Absolutely.
For a moment. Are there any questions by the board members for the applicant?
No,
No,
no question.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other person in the audience here that would like to make his voice heard in favor, against, or give other evidence? No. Thank you. Anybody else that is wishing to comment? No. Preliminary discussion with input from any person that we recognize to speak. So it's a discussion between board members with input as we want. Any? Nothing?
no questions.
Okay. Then next is deliberation of the board, considering all the factors set out in the ordinance and the application.
So basically what we're doing is just adding a control tower / office building to this light industrial zoning usage.
As a minor special use.
Right.
Right.
Only for the subject property, not for the entire district.
Right. Which is why it's called a special use. I have no questions or comments other than that.
Any more discussion at this time?
The only people occupying this building are workers, right? It's not general public.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have
Not sightseeing tower.
no sightseeing tower.
Okay, then what we got to do next is basically continue our deliberation, reviewing the proposed findings that we have come up with.
Close it to comments.
I think that's well, close it down, that's kind of it.
I think what you're thinking of is we used to close the record and stop accepting evidence, but we, unadvised some, the town's attorney, we just dropped that.
Okay.
And before you can, oh, sorry, before you continue, I'll just comment, I should have overviewed this in my staff report, but for this specific minor special use permit for the light industrial district, the Board of Adjustment does have to make 2 additional findings, which are in your staff report. Specifically, the proposed use would not involve the manufacture, use in manufacturing, storage, et cetera, of any chemical which is hazardous to human health. And also that the proposed use meets all dimensional signage, buffer, parking, et cetera, requirements of the town zoning code. It's on the second page of the staff report at the very bottom.
Okay.
We were.
Yeah.
Numbers 3 and 4. you're
Correct.
talking about.
Okay, so we have 4 actual findings.
Correct. The first 2 are the standard ones for any special use permit, and 3 and 4 are additional standards that the zoning ordinance calls for the light industrial district.
Okay, then I would like to entertain a motion for the proposed use that it will not adversely affect health, et cetera. But we have to give again a reason why we think that is, or can we just make a motion that's
I think you just make the motion of that finding. You make that finding based upon the evidence that was just presented.
you, whatever you want to put in the motion that we can vote on. relative to the first one mentioned.
I make a motion that the proposed use will not adversely affect the health and safety of persons residing or working in the neighborhood of the proposed use.
We have a second on that motion.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It is a unanimous vote in favor. Then I would like to entertain a motion on the second issue.
I'd like to make a motion that the proposed use will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to property or public improvements in the neighborhood.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's a unanimous vote. Next, the proposed use would not involve the manufacturing, storage, etc. Number 3.
Keep going.
I'm sure the FAA will keep a close watch on what happens in that building. Limited experience with towers. other than talking.
Not the union.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that the proposed use would not involve the manufacture, use of manufacturing, storage on, in, or above ground on the premises of any type of chemical in any form, which due to its nature is known to be hazardous to human health due to radiation or toxicity or known to be a carcinogen.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's a unanimous vote. And then we have the last one.
Go ahead.
On the road.
Okay, I'll try it. We got a teacher in the audience to make sure I say it right. I'd like to make a motion that proposed use must meet all dimensional, signage, buffer, and parking requirements of the town zoning code.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's it. And we have voted on the 4 conditions.
You guys going to have security, so John McClain, that thing happened on the second back.
But I still need a motion separately to actually issue this.
I move that we grant minor special use permit SUP -22-02 based on all the findings that have been entered into record.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's a unanimous vote on this minor special use permit.
You remember, they were building a new tower. The bad guy was in the old tower.
Then we need to close this public hearing. I can entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Then next on the agenda is a public hearing variance request AR 22-01 Greater Asheville Regional Airport Authority. I can entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And thank you. We are in public hearing for the variance request DAR 2201 Greater Asheville Regional Airport Authority. We have sworn in those that have to present evidence already. Do we need to do that again?
As I understand it, we completed that proceeding, so we need to basically start over. Yes.
All right. Swear them in again.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Next, we'd like to recognize our zoning official to present the case and make recommendations for the variance requests. Mr. Mouser, go ahead.
Thank you. So this is a request for the same subject property, 0 Westfelt Road, no address assigned. The request is for a 50-foot variance from the maximum building height of 80 feet in the light industrial zoning district. The 50-foot variance would change the maximum building height for the subject property to 130 feet if granted to accommodate the maximum potential height of the proposed air traffic control tower, which is only at about 50% design and could vary between 105 and 130 feet in height. The town received the variance application the same day as the minor special use permit, January 19th. And again, this is requesting a variance from what I just described, Town Zoning Code 154.055D7, the 80-foot maximum building height for the light industrial district. The application and hardship statements are included in attachment A, and I submit that into the record. Just summarizing what's in the application. The applicant claims unnecessary hardship will result from strict application of the ordinance because the Asheville Regional Airport is bound to construct such a project according to strict FAA requirements, which dictate the height and location and siting requirements for the air traffic control tower. The applicant further claims the hardship results from unique circumstances related to the applicant's land, the uniqueness being the subject property is operated as an airport, which is subject to federal requirements above and beyond what any other nearby property is regulated by. In further summary, the applicant claims the hardship was not a result of actions taken by the applicant because the FAA is the federal authority that is dictating the height, location, and siting requirements for the air traffic control tower. And further, the applicant claims the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance because the variance is necessary for the safe operation of the Asheville Airport and air traffic control in the national airspace system. The height and location of the air traffic control tower are federal requirements. The proposed location is interior to the airport property and will not be visible from nearby public roads, and the site is bordered by a heavy tree line to the west, which will further shield it from public view. Just as with the last minor special use permit hearing, this evidentiary hearing was properly noticed with letters mailed to adjacent owners on January 27th, a sign posted at the end of Westbelt Road near the property on January 28th, and legal advertisements in the Hendersonville Lightning on the January 26th and February 2nd. The site plan for the project is included as attachment B. The building layout is attachment C. And in that attachment, I circled the part of the facility, which is the air traffic control tower footprint. The building elevations, which show the heights, is included as attachment D. And then again, a rendering of the facility is included as attachment E. And I submit all that into the record.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you did skip over whether or not anybody had personal knowledge.
Yes, I did.
You caught that, okay.
Next, I apologize for skipping one. We need to get a notice of board members that have any personal knowledge from which they may rely, whether it's not in the record.
No.
No.
Only as a private pilot.
Only as a private pilot.
I have knowledge of how towers work, been to the old tower. Talk to them when I fly in there. But as far as anything concerning this case, this location, I have no knowledge. Just
Thank you.
general working knowledge.
Okay. Then I gotta catch up. Next is giving recognition of the applicant to agree or to object to any of the exhibits so far.
I agree with the exhibits.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for the zoning official at this time from board members?
No.
No. I have a real good question. If for some odd reason, all of a sudden plans change and somebody wants to build a apartment building on that same property, is that possible? Of 130 feet high.
Apartment buildings are not an allowed use in the light industrial district. But in theory, if the variance is granted for that property, that maximum building height runs with the land.
Can I ask if if someone were to build a building there, it would have to meet FAA requirements because of its proximity to the airport. Is that correct?
I don't know that answer.
Strictly from a height perspective.
From a height perspective, that's right. And the FAA would probably frown on another building being there that was higher than definitely 130 feet, unless it's for their purposes.
That's correct, and if I may.
Yes, please. Please. If you could introduce
I'm
yourself.
Michael Reisman, I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Asheville Regional Airport. I guess maybe going back to the first question, sir, the airport authority would never allow a residential development on the property. It violates everything down to our being. It's incompatible with the design of the airport. It's incompatible with aircraft flight operations. It's not something the airport would ever do in terms of anything residential related. So that would never happen. Any development that takes place on the airport, whether it's a simple antenna tower or a structure of some sort, everything that we build has to go through an airspace analysis. And that has to be reviewed by the Federal Aviation Administration for its proximity to the runway, for its height, and whether it has the potential to have a negative impact on airspace and flight traffic in and out of the airport. An air traffic control tower is one of those few buildings that's exempt from that because of the nature of the function it performs. But it's unlikely that you probably ever see another building that's height built on the airport. You may see a building of 50, 60, 70 feet at some point in the future for a heavy aircraft hangar. But even at large hub airports, it's pretty rare to see anything that large.
Very good. Thank you. Presentation of the applicant's evidence and arguments by our applicant.
So as Mr. Malachek explained earlier, we're bound by the FAA. The reason we're asking for the 130 feet is the maximum. Right now, our current design, as Mr. Malachek explained, we're at 50% design. We are currently at 105 feet. The reason we're asking for 130 is because the FAA standard is that 130 feet for the size and the height that we're required for eye level and to be able to see everything that's necessary. So that's the reason we're asking for the maximum. Our hope, obviously, it is it's within our best interest to keep the tower as low as possible because it has cost implications the higher we go. So our goal is to keep it as short as possible. But right now, due to the FAA requirements and the lengthy study that went into the location, the site, as well as the height, this is where we're at. And we need the variance in order to support that building and to support the airport.
Good. Can you go higher? If you build it at what 50, how many feet you say you go?
130.
If you build
This is to the roof.
Okay, but and in 3-4 years, can you add on and build it higher to get to the 180 for whatever reason?
We're not planning for to go any higher. This is this was the optimum height for our airfield, and we don't expand on we don't plan to expand the airfield in any time in the near future. That would necessitate a higher tower. This tower would serve our needs for the foreseeable future.
Any other questions by board members for the applicant?
No.
Thank you.
I got one quick one. You do, I'm assuming you do 3, 5, 10-year plans
Absolutely.
of what's
Yes.
going to happen. And in those plans, I'm just looking at growth, how
Yes.
quick this thing is. You got United Technology coming down here, they're gonna have a blue million people flying back and forth. I just remember my Nashville days, they had those special towers just to get to Detroit. Once Saturn and those boys came in, they had to redo the airport because, and I foresee the same thing at this airport. If they're gonna put 2,000 people in, you're gonna be bringing more flights going to Connecticut or wherever their corporate headquarters is.
We are in the middle of updating our master plan, which that'll be available for public to view shortly. We have some documents already uploaded on our website, but there are some areas tagged for future development within the airport's property. However, for the tower and the movement areas, there's no expansion to the taxiway or runway as part of those future plans. And that will be looking 20 years out is the master plan.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, we heard already an acknowledgement that the public hearing was noticed properly by our zoning administrator. Recognition of any other person in favor, against, or wanting to give evidence. Nobody here. Recognition of any person wishing to comment. Nobody. Preliminary discussion by the board with input from any person. Oh,
No.
Good.
all right. Deliberation of the board, consideration of all factors set out in the ordinance. Continued deliberation after review of proposed findings. Proposed findings, we have the 4 variance requirements listed in the staff report. And what we need to do is see if we can get a vote on those 4 different conditions.
I'll go for number 1. I move that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation in that applicant is under control of the FAA for their building requirements.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Second,
May I make a recommendation? And in number 1, that you amend that finding to also state that no reasonable, in the absence of a variance, no reasonable use can be made for the property. That's the last line. And I think that's a necessary finding to make it a valid finding of fact.
All right, also modify my motion. Do you want me to restate it then?
If you will, please.
I move that unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the regulation in that the applicant is controlled by FAA guidelines. In the absence of a variance, no reasonable use can be made of the property because of the restrictions placed on it.
second to that motion.
A second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous vote in favor. Next, a motion that considers the conditions peculiar to the property.
I'll make the motion. The hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. That's because of the terrain and the location. Understanding that the FAA was very instrumental in choosing where the tower is going to be. So based on where it has to go and what you have to do from the tower, which you see the whole airfield in operations, that they're stuck with this location and the hardships.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Then I'd like to entertain a motion on the 3rd requirement for the variance,
The 3rd or 4th?
the 3rd. That the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or property owner.
I move that the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. Thus, again, because they are under direction of the FAA for the location and the type of building that they can put there.
Second,
A second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous approved. Then the last variance requirement. Considering the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation.
Okay, I'll move that or I'd like to make a motion that the requested variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the regulation, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Safety involves the airport and flying operations.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous approval. Then next, I would like to. We need a 4 out of 5 majority for issuing of this variance. I would like to entertain a motion to issue variance as per the findings we have.
Make a motion. What is that whole thing? I make a motion that we approve the variance as it has been submitted.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5 out of 5 approval. Then I would like to entertain a motion to close our public hearing.
I move we close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public hearing closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Next on our agenda, chapter B of new business is our election of vice chairman or chairwoman, or vice chairwoman.
I nominate Bert Lundquist as chairman.
I'll second that.
Since he's just sitting there, I will call the question.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Next, I'd like to entertain a motion on our vice chair. I'll make a motion that Belinda Gardner continues to be our vice chair.
I second that.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So easy.
Yeah. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before you go, one thing that's not on your agenda. But there's a good possibility that we will have a variance application come in this week. So I'd like to check availability of those present on March 8th.
As far as I know. I'm
March
okay.
8th should be here.
What time you think?
7. Yeah, fine.
Okay, so we have Heidi, Linda, Bert, Jeff, and Eugene, and I will check with the remaining members.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, real quick before you adjourn. Town council has a vacancy right now. If you know of anyone or if you are interested in yourself in serving on town council, applications are available on the town's website and they're due next Friday.
Thank you. Entertain motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.